زينة الإيمان أن السلام حياة قد جاء في القرآن أن السلام.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to another episode of iTREND on ITV. October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we've decided to raise a lot of the awareness. There's tons of activities going on around the country where people are getting actively involved in raising the awareness within their community. But what exactly does this awareness mean? What does it mean for us in terms of what are we able to do? It's one thing to just wear something pink, wear a pink ribbon and to talk about it, but are we doing and taking the next steps in ensuring that we have our mammograms regularly done? We're ensuring our mums and our sisters are actively having it done, and we're getting our friends involved as well. Are we supporting those organizations that are putting in funds to make sure that the cancer associations and cancer care groups are getting all the funding they need to be able to do the work they do? Today on our show, we've got a number of prolific guests who are going to be speaking about cancer awareness, their role in it, and how their names have become synonymous with cancer awareness within our communities. My first guest in the studio with me is Sister Humaira Jasat. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the studio.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me on here,
It's such a pleasure to have you on. Humaira, your name is synonymous with Pink Hijab Day. I've been hearing it for ages, and we always hear about it. It comes up every year. Tell us about how your journey started with Pink Hijab Day.
Inshallah, well, this would be the 9th Pink Hijab Day that we're celebrating, alhamdulillah. It all started when I was in grade 11. I went to a Zaheerah Bham Muslim school. I was about 17 years old at the time, and I decided to take upon the Pink Hijab Day campaign. During the time I was doing the President's Award for Youth Empowerment, and I needed to do a community project. And this came very close to my heart because I felt that breast cancer was not something that anybody spoke about openly in our community. Unfortunately, in our society, it was constantly being hushed and put under the carpet. And I felt that I want to pull it out. I need to create awareness. We're 5 women in our own home. Myself, my 3 sisters and my mum. And it was something that was close to my heart, as I said. And I said, you know what, we need to create awareness. And so the journey began. I obviously approached my school because it was a community project. It started off as that, for all the female girls to don a pink hijab on that day. And one day in the month of October. And alhamdulillah, with the grace of Allah, it shot from there. And there were thousands of women on that 1st October. I remember I was a naive 17-year-old who just thought of it as a small project. And here we are celebrating 9 years later. And I promise you, I cannot count anymore.
But did you ever foresee how big this project would get, the awareness that it would raise, the fact that women in the community felt that they could raise awareness just by putting on a pink scarf on a particular day?
No, I didn't. It was when that Pink Hijab Day ended, that particular Pink Hijab, the first one ever, there was a woman of a different religion that called me, and she told me that she was on her way. This is something that sticks with me forever. She says that she was on her way home from chemotherapy with her driver, and they were changing radio stations. And here she heard that thousands of Muslim women had taken to the streets of Johannesburg donning a pink hijab. And 17-year-old me talking about how it's impacted my life and the lives around the women in my community. And she said, my girl, you go for it and don't stop, because you're going to change many lives. And alhamdulillah, it's with your effort and the effort of all the other women across South Africa that take the time out to don the pink hijab and create awareness. It's not just awareness on the hijab, it's awareness on the hijab, on breast cancer, on profiling of Muslim women, on the courage that the Muslim women have taken by supporting women of all other religions, or all different walks of life, because cancer doesn't choose a race, a religion, or a culture.
Absolutely.
It can pick anyone.
I think that's the one thing that has become more and more prevalent, and the more I chatted Auntie Zaheerah Nawab, we've been saying the same thing, that it is becoming, well, we're not sure if it's more prevalent or just, as you said, spoken about more, so it's coming out more in the open because we're hearing about it more often. But because of projects like yours, it is something that's being spoken about easily because there is support. What has been the challenges that you've faced along this journey?
Awareness. creating awareness is one of the most important and vital necessities for the project to obviously run successfully. Secondly, early detection saves lives, and constantly from day one, early detection. Don't hide. If you do your breast checks and you find a lump, immediately contact the local cancer society, go to your local clinic, go to your local GP, whatever it takes. Don't say, it's fine, I'll manage, it will go away. Don't hide it, and because there's a lot of stigmas associated with breast cancer. So awareness and early detection for me was one of the most important stepping stones of the campaign. Also, like you've asked me, what challenges I faced. A lot was initially accepting it from a young person who has no experience. Firstly, I don't have breast cancer. So lots of survivors would come to me and say, you don't know what we're going through. You don't know the struggle we face. You just think by donning this pink hijab, we can move on. And but eventually they come to realize that it's your support that takes place, and so it was a lot, from the survivors, and it was from society to accept that we can do this as Muslim women, because it's a project driven by Muslim women for women, not just for Muslim women.
Yes.
And like I keep on saying, it's highlighting the courage and the strength of a Muslim woman.
I like what you said just now, and I want to pick up a little bit on that. You said that wearing the scarf is not saying to a cancer survivor, I know what you're going through, but it's more to say, I support you.
Yes.
And I love that, because I think there's a huge difference in empathy and actually saying to somebody, because I think you take away their strength if you don't know what they're going through and you just say casually, oh, I know exactly how you feel.
Exactly. And I love that, because we need to support them when they diagnosed, when they're going through the chemotherapy, by them knowing, hey, you know what, there is someone out there that cares for me. There is someone out there that loves me. And there's not just someone, there's a whole lot of women. And by donning the hijab, also, I think from a religious perspective, I feel like let's don our hijab and let's say a little prayer. Oh, Allah, please grant shifa to these women. Because prayer takes a person a long way. And by these survivors knowing somebody said a prayer for me and they support me, it really means a lot to them. Because I've come in contact with so many survivors over the past 9 years, and their happiness and joy, and I think the strength they get from all of you out there that are donning this pink hijab is a lot.
Fantastic. Humaira, my last few questions. You mentioned earlier that you are not a cancer survivor, but I do know that you had a very personal interest as to why you started this.
My mom's sister was diagnosed with breast cancer, and for me that was very shocking, because so many women in our family, and we don't know who it could be next, especially with breast cancer. So for me, that was one of the key points, because we didn't know anything when she got diagnosed. I didn't know about breast cancer. Honestly speaking, I didn't know anything. Later on, my husband's aunt was also diagnosed, and I got married into the family, and I became very close to her. And for me, it was very sad losing her last year. And for me, the light of hope is continue this journey of Pink Hijab Day, keeping in mind there's so many like her out there.
Absolutely.
And I think it's all of the survivors and their families that support this cause so much, that says we need to do something.
Absolutely.
Don't just sit back and say, oh, you know what, cancer affects anyone. Let's move through life. It's not me or my family. It's okay. But do it for the survivors and do it for their families, because families need the support.
And I can see the reality of it is something that you are very passionate about. Humaira, tell us about this month's Pink Hijab Day.
So this month's Pink Hijab Day, basically it's just going to be on social media. I haven't really taken on too many challenges this year for Pink Hijab Day. I've had a baby 2 weeks ago.
Alhamdulillah, congratulations.
Thank you. So I didn't obviously want to stretch myself too far, but basically I just urge schools, madrasas, university, workplaces, all the corporates, take on this challenge and get your woman to wear a pink hijab. Bring in a survivor, bring in a nurse, a sister, to talk about the basic checks. Because as I said, early detection saves lives. You take it upon yourself in your local communities, at your talim group, whatever it is. Mention Pink Hijab Day, mention the the month, October is the month for breast cancer awareness. Say a little prayer for the survivors. Give out 5 rand to your local cancer home, a hospice, because they are the ones that need the funds. I do know of lots of high teas happening, cancer fund days, walks, runs, all of those things.
Fantastic.
But on Pink Hijab side, if you do need anything, you can contact me by Instagram, Facebook.
We'll have all your details at the bottom of the screen and on our Instagram pages as well. Humaira, this is now the last Wednesday of the month, which is the 26th of October, which is Pink Hijab Day in South Africa.
Yes.
How does it feel to know that it's also become a global movement? And I'm so proud that it's also a proudly South African movement.
It's really amazing because what I keep on saying is the courage and the strength of Muslim women are so strong. We can break down anything. Although there's red tape in front of us, we can cross over it. We have the confidence to take on anything that comes our way, especially in the Western world. And unfortunately in media and society today, Muslim women are constantly being judged. You're being judged for what you wear, what you don on your head, for everything, your religion. And I feel like it's left up to you. I started this campaign. You can start something even better. I think young women out there need to take the step and say, we can do it. We can fight the stigmas around us. And let's be proudly South African, like you said. So I started one campaign. You can take on so many others. And inshallah, with the help of Allah, it would be a success.
It's been such a pleasure to have you on. Humaira Jassad's name is synonymous with being an advocate for breast cancer awareness, not only within the Muslim community, but globally. She's brought Pink Hijab Day right to the forefront to ensure that the community stands with women who have breast cancer, with the survivors and those that we have lost to breast cancer. And as Humaira has mentioned in the interview, it's not something we should just put on the back burner saying, it's not in our family. Tomorrow it could be any of us. It's a reality. Just look around you, see how many people you actually know that are going through it. We were so honored to have you on the air, especially because you've just had your baby 2 weeks ago and you're right here. To all those women's groups in various areas, get in touch with Humaira, see how to get your communities involved. Email her, contact her, phone her. Let's start putting on our pink hijab for the 26th of October. Tag Humaira, tag us in your social media pictures. Let's start reposting it and let's turn social media pink on the 26th of October. Humaira, it's been such a pleasure to have you in our studio. We wish you all the best and we're looking forward to see what you have planned for your 10th year as Pink Hijab Day next year. Inshallah,
thank you so much for having me, Sister Zaheerah. I really appreciate it. And go pink this October and strike a woman, strike a rock.
I love that.
So inshallah, it's a success and I look forward to meeting you soon again.
Shukran, thank you so much. Stay tuned as we come back with our next guest. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to iTREND. We're going from one advocate for breast cancer awareness to another famous one. You'll know her name because it's synonymous with excellence in fine dining. Welcome to the studio, Kamini Partha.
How are you?
It's so wonderful to have you on air. Kamini, can you hear us?
Well, it's great to be here, Zaheerah. I'm here.
Fantastic. Kamini, tell us a little bit about your journey. You're very famous with MasterChef, with synonymous with fine dining. Your name's been all over the social media. Tell us a little bit about your journey before we get into why you're with us today.
I think my journey's always been about food. You know, it started with eating all my grandmother's food and really enjoying it. And then as I got to university, just trying to cook better food and create better meals. And then MasterChef kind of allowed me to get all those food dreams that I had, you know, like traveling the world and eating different dishes, performing at different food shows, being able to write and really speak with a voice about the food and the topic that I've been so passionate about my whole life, basically.
That's wonderful. Doesn't it sometimes seem weird that you literally came into all our lounges? We all know you so well. Do you often find that strange that people know more about you than you know anything about them?
I mean, I've had a couple of years to get used to it, but I think the great thing is that if I see people out, there's always this warmth, because I think you're entirely right. I have been in your home while we're eating dinner with your family for, I think it was 3 months while the show was on. So it's a very personal relationship.
Kamini, at the moment, you're very involved with Melomed Hospital for their breast cancer awareness and fundraising during this month. How did cancer awareness become something that's so close to your heart?
It started with the Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, and I was one of the ambassadors. And I was approached by the Cancer Association of South Africa to run for them. And I obviously agreed at the outset, but it got me thinking about cancer in my life. And cancer has affected me like it's affected everybody if you go back and you think about it. I haven't had cancer, but my cousin, who's like my sister, her dad died of cancer. It's as though my dad passed away with cancer. My grandmother's sister had cancer. So, you know, it becomes part of your family, and it's not just about the people that have passed. It's about the people that are still fighting with the disease. I recently found out that one of the girls I went to high school with, which means that she and I are the same age, has just had a double mastectomy. I know you're going to be speaking to Dr. Fatima Baba later, and she and I, weirdly enough, met in Johannesburg last year. And she's a cancer survivor and one of the most generous, kind-hearted, incredible human beings. So I think it made me realize that cancer affects all of us. And it starts with being able to be conscious about what you eat, how you live, how you exercise. I mean, the smoking, that's a whole other topic. But I think if I can lend my voice to allow other people to be more conscious about themselves and lower their risk of cancer, I feel like I would have won.
Absolutely. What is your association now with Melomed Hospital? Take us through two of the fundraisers that you will be hosting with them.
Well, Melomed obviously is a huge supporter of cancer, and I will be hosting a food fair on the 22nd, and I really hope that everyone's going to come by and join us for a cup of a cancer. There's also going to be loads of food on sale that's going to be made by the community. There's going to be food competitions as well and face painting, and I think it's going to be a really fun day out with a worthy cause in mind at the end of it.
So people in Cape Town have a lot to look forward to. We're hoping that you'll end up bringing some of this down to South Africa, to Johannesburg at some point as well.
We are supporting cancer and Melomed. I'm happy to go wherever.
We've got your fundraiser initiatives up on this screen at the moment. How do people get involved with it? How do people get in touch? Because you want them just to attend the fundraiser because the funding does go to cancer. But what else do you want them to get from these events?
I want people to be able to go away with an idea of, I think, taking better care of themselves, because we all know that cancer is a lifestyle disease. And yes, you must come to the event and have a good time and support, and but I also think that the bigger picture is about going back home and thinking about the type of foods that you eat and the way that you live. And I think obesity is a huge issue, not just in South Africa, but worldwide, and it's one of the leading components, to cancer. And it starts with good food, and it starts with great produce. So I'm hoping that people will be able to just question their choices a little bit more and make those better choices for the long term.
Fantastic. So we look forward to actually hearing what you have to teach us also about good dieting when it comes to making sure we have healthy bodies. Because I know I've been reading quite a bit about ensuring that we keep our bodies in a pH balanced state, in a more alkaline state rather than acidic state. So I think it would be nice to see what you come up with in future posts, and we look forward to retagging it as well.
I hope I can give you something worthwhile to think about.
Fantastic. That was Kamini Partha, very famous Kamini Partha from MasterChef, who is now also associated with the Cancer Association and is another proudly South African advocate for breast cancer awareness and cancer awareness on a whole, as she mentioned. These events that she's talking about will be taking place with Melomed Hospital in the Cape Town area on the 22nd of October. So do get in touch. We will also repost all the fundraising campaigns. Please do get in touch, not just to lend your money, but to enjoy yourself and at the same time to learn more about how it affects you, how it affects people around you, and how it affects people that are currently going through it. Because it's not just so easy to just sit back and say, it doesn't happen to me. It's about what we can do to help others in our community. So thank you very much to Kamini for joining us on screen today. It was such a pleasure to have you on, and we look forward to hearing from you more often. Stay tuned. We'll
Thanks
be going
so much.
for an ad break, and then we'll be back with
everyone
our
come
next
out, have
guest.
some fun, and let's make a difference together.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to the show. We've gone from advocates for breast cancer awareness, for cancer awareness, to survivors of cancer. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the studio, Dr. Fatima Baba.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you so much for having me again on your show. Pleasure to be here.
Fatima, your name is literally all over social media. We always see you with aesthetics, with beauty in the business, and you've really put yourself out there, not just the people that are ambassadors for your brand, but tell me about your journey with cancer, because not only are you an advocate for cancer awareness, a very strong advocate, you've started a number of programs, but more importantly, you're a survivor of cancer.
Yes. So the journey started when I was diagnosed with cancer, and this happened in around 2010. And it was very quick. It was going from writing exams to theatre to chemo. It was just all in a blink of an eye, and before I knew it, I was a cancer patient. Very difficult to, I think, internalize, and everything that came with it. So you get through that entire process, and then you sit back and you think, I went through this, there must be millions of people who are going through it. What can I do to help? And it's not just, I'm looking at it more from an Islamic perspective. So when you go to a chemo room, for example, you have all the nuns would come through and they would sit with people, they would bring you the Bible, they would want to talk to you. You would have rabbis coming through, you would have traditional leaders, all sorts of different people. But I never saw a Muslim, an Appa or a Maulana, or just a Muslim person. And my thought was, we've got something that nobody else has. We have Iman, we have Deen, we have Yaqeen. We know that everything is preordained for us. So we have that firm belief. If we had someone to just come through to us when you're sitting there, I mean, I had my parents, but you've got people who come on their own. You've got the single mothers, you've got the wives whose husbands are at work, you've got the people who don't have that support structure. So just for someone to come there and reinforce just the little things for them, I think would make a big difference. And apart from that, for me, I've got 3 sisters, I've got a mother, I've got a brilliant support structure. But what about that woman who's got 3 kids going to school? She's got a husband, she's got to cook meals, she's got to do pickups, drop-offs. We can arrange just food to be dropped off for her when she's going for chemo on that day. Because as you know, when you have chemo and the few days after that, you're really unwell. And you just having to know that I don't have to get up and cook a pot of food or see that my kids are going to school. It's just little things that help in the recovery. And the support, for me, cancer is a disease of the mind. I know that there are medical, and I'm a medical doctor myself, so I'm talking from experience. We have the grading, we have the staging, we have everything. But if you go through in time and you read books and you see internet and you look at TV, all the people who've had a positive attitude, who've had support, actually did much better than the people who had a negative outlook. But also saying that Islamically, we know that your death and your life is ordained, right? But your quality of life in between is what we can help them with. Help them have a better quality from day to day. And with that in mind, with the Caring Women's, we've taken on the Cancer Care, which is a cancer support group where we want to educate people. We want to help women, men, any families who are in a situation with people that have cancer, because not only is the direct person, so not just the spouse or the kids, but the caregiver. It could be a mother, it could be a grandmother, it could be anyone that's looking after the person that has cancer, that needs to be educated, they need to be supported, because they are the person that carries the most burden.
You know, you mentioned that, and I think it's something so important, is understanding that it's not one person, it's an entire family that goes through it. For quite some time, you were running family support groups. Tell me the importance of understanding that, because I think very often we'll say, oh, this person has cancer, and we forget how it affects and impacts on people around them.
Well, I think think family support is very important, because individuals get their support from their doctors. They will be seeing the oncologist. They will be seeing a lot of people. But the people who are supporting them are often the ones who bear the brunt of the bad moods and the anger and the frustrations. They are the ones who, when you are having a bad day, you lash out at. Because you being a speech and hearing therapist and in the field as well, you know that you take out your frustrations on the ones that are closest to you. You wouldn't find someone in the street and lash out at them. And they need to know that, you know what, you're just going through a phase. It's everything that's building up. And they too have this emotional burden, the physical burden, and the mental strain of having a person that's having a terminal illness in the home with them that they need to either care for, provide meals for, or deal with just emotional baggage on a day-to-day basis. And it's very important that the whole family is on the same page. Else you have, I'll give you an example of a very dear friend of mine, and she's actually passed on. And with her, she was alone. Yet she had a husband, she had a mother-in-law, she had people, but they never understood the gravity of the situation. They didn't understand that she was really ill and she couldn't manage with day-to-day chores. She couldn't do taking my son to school and cooking meals. And, you know, if you imagine you got up in the morning, you went for chemo, you came home really ill, and husband had a bad day at work, but never understood that your day was much worse than his, and came home and just unloaded all of his baggage on someone who's already having such a bad day. And we just need to sort of educate them, empower them, give them the right tools that, look, maybe not today, maybe tomorrow tell her how bad your day was, or unpack your baggage at another stage. And those are important things.
Absolutely. And I think it's simple things that we forget about that. We understand it initially and then it just seems to slide. Fatima, you mentioned earlier the effects of chemotherapy, because very often we hear someone's going for radiation or for chemotherapy and we'd like to be there to lend support. Two questions there. What exactly are the after effects of it, and how best can we lend support during that time?
So chemotherapy is a very big word. It encompasses an entire range of different medical treatments. Okay, so depending on the type of cancer you will have a different range of chemo. And every chemo has different side effects. But the biggest ones, or the most common ones, would be hair loss, hair, eyebrows, eyelashes. I'll tell you a funny story. So when my hair started falling, the most important thing, that was like the biggest thing for me. And I think it was just me sort of shifting the importance. You know, you find that one small little thing and you're not worrying about the big things and you're focusing on the stupid little thing. And for me, that was it. So I had really long hair and they had advised me to, you know, cut my hair off because when it falls, it's less traumatic. And my dad was like, don't worry, medical aid will give you a wig. Okay. That's, I suppose, something you can think about. So that's a big one. You get mouth ulcers, very, very painful. You get blue fingers. You get your nails falling off. You get your toenails falling off. You have no energy, exceptional lethargy. Some people have these aching bones. You have discoloration of your skin. You have discoloration of, if you notice, some people who go for chemo, you find their faces are like almost black and the rest of their bodies are another color. I think you need to also just be aware of these things, because sometimes you look at someone and you go, and it's not the right response. You know, you just need to be aware of their situation, where they are. I think in terms of lending help, you can't help someone unless they want you to. You need to give them that space. You can't force yourself upon them, but you can say, look, if you need anything, I'm here for you. Just little things like maybe sending a pot of food, making sure their kids are sorted, things like that, that they have, help with day-to-day care. I think those things you can sort of force onto other people, but general personal care, unless they're asking for it, you can't really give it to them.
I listen to when you speak about the physical changes and the hair, and I think as women, we are so conscious of how we look, and our hair is such an important part of who we are, that I think emotionally and psychologically, I'm only sitting here and looking at you and realizing emotionally what a toll that must have taken.
It was terrible, especially, and I must say, cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me. I know it sounds really terrible to say, but it puts so many things into perspective, because if you just had to look at your life and you woke up at 50 and nothing major happened for you to reflect and change all the bad things that happened in your life, what a pointless sort of existence that would have been. Whereas when this happened, it made me reassess. Like, I was vain. My entire life was beauty and, you know, nice hair, nice clothes. And then you sit back and you realize, but that's not the most important thing. If you are not healthy, what's the point of all of these things? And being a specialist was one of the most important things in my life. That is all I ever wanted to be. And I never got there. But I've done so many different things and so many better things, and life is so much more fulfilling, and it just brings you back on path.
I think that's an absolutely phenomenal lesson for all of us to take. Why wait for something? Change our lives, make an impact now. And you've touched so many lives along your journey.
I hope so.
You have literally taken something and in a way, I almost felt you forced people in the community to say, you can deal with it. You're not alone. There are people here to help you, because you walked so many families down this journey. And I know firsthand from chatting to your own family that you've often taken people into your home.
We do. Look, the thing is, you try and make a small difference that you can, and we want women everywhere, in every community, to try and help. But do a little cancer support group, help the women that have cancer, because it's so common. It's actually becoming more common than a common cold. You can help that one woman, a few women get together, make a little roster, help her out for that time. And we're encouraging everyone in the Johannesburg area, if you have any person that knows, or anyone that has cancer, or anyone that knows of someone that has cancer, please contact us at the Caring Women's Forum. We run a sector called the Caring Women's Cancer Care, and we would like to help you as much as we can. So please come forth and contact us.
I think that's such an important thing. Dr. Fatima Baba is not only an advocate for cancer awareness. As we mentioned, she is a cancer survivor, so she knows firsthand when she sits with someone and she says, I understand, because she's been and she's walked down this road and has been on this journey. And I think what's been phenomenal is Fatima not only offers the services of support for family because she understands the importance of it, but also the Cancer Care Group, which offers support to families and to individuals who are currently going through it in simple forms. Like Fatima said, it's something you can replicate within your own communities, is go there, lend some emotional support, take a pot of food, just be there for the family in any way that is needed, and let them lead the way in terms of the amount of support that's needed. Dr. Fatima Baba, it's been such a pleasure to have you on. You are truly such an inspiration for women who are making their mark in this world, who are setting the standards and who are touching people's lives and hearts. May you see many more along your journey. Are there any final words from your side?
Cancer can be beat. It is a disease of the mind. And we know that our life has been ordained for us, but it's the quality of life in between.
Fantastic. We will have all the information put up on our screens and our social media pages so people can contact you directly, and inshallah they get the help that they need. Thank you so much for being here in our studio today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Stay tuned, and when we get back, you'll hear more about what's going on for the rest of this month and with other cancer survivors. We will also put up pictures of other fundraisers that Dr. Fatima Baba will be hosting during this month as well. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to iTREND. We are speaking to prolific women who are ambassadors for cancer awareness. And in our studio now, I'm so honored to introduce you to my dear friend, Velisa Sishuba.
Hello, it's nice to see you again.
And such an honor and a pleasure to see you. I think every time I look at you, I said to you the last time, is that not only am I taken aback by your story, but I am given so much of hope that there's so many women that are so strong, that are still fighting and that keep getting up and saying, we can do more. Velisa, tell us a little bit about your story, when you started, because I think the strong message that I get when I hear you is the fact that cancer sees absolutely no age.
It really doesn't, and I just love also that, you know, a show like this has a really great platform to kind of highlight the fact that, you know, unlike a lot of things in our world today, disease doesn't discriminate at all. It goes across the board with age, race, it really doesn't matter. And I think with my journey, it started off just very unexpected. You know, I was 17 when I was diagnosed, and it was just one of those things where I just felt my wrist as usual, just as a normal kind of checkup thing, and I just felt this odd lump in my left breast. And so I told my mom about it, and, you know, we went to the GP, and they both said, you know, it's probably just, you know, hormonal things, you know, women's body, they do change. And so,
yes,
you know, after just a lot of like checkups and follow-ups and biopsies and things, eventually November of 2014, I was told that, you know, it's actually cancer. The doctor that I went to go see had told me, you know, this is a rare kind of cancer and so forth and so on. But at the time, obviously, it was still during exams. So I actually went to her like on a day off that I was writing during that week. And she said that she could operate on me and things. But because medical aid wouldn't cover that specific woman and what she was working with, I ended up getting referred to Netcare Mill Park, and there was a breast care unit. I didn't even know there was such a thing. And, you know, from there onwards, I had about 4 surgeries. And yeah, essentially I had a mastectomy, but yeah.
I think at 17 years old, you shouldn't be knowing that there's a breast cancer unit. How did it, I mean, you're saying that you were 17. You are in the prime of deciding what you're going to be doing with your future, still just having fun, enjoying your time out. And then you get this diagnosis of breast cancer. How do you emotionally deal with it? I mean, I've met your mum and she is a remarkable woman of strength. So I can see where it comes from. But for our viewers out there, because I've met older women who struggle with it. So I can imagine at 17, that's the last thing you're expecting to hear.
Oh, completely. It was something that was just not only unexpected, but just bizarre, because I'm not somebody who drinks or smokes and, you know, I don't do funny stuff like that. I'm literally at home reading my books with my dog and my family. And so, again, I think it also just kind of showed me that it doesn't necessarily mean that if you are involved in those things, although they obviously increase your chances, that is necessarily, that you aren't susceptible to those things. Really, it's just one of those things where, you know, environmental factors come in play and all sorts of things that, you know, even doctors can't necessarily give you all the facts and details about, because they can also just kind of go on what they have heard and researched, you know.
And tell me about from there to where you are now, because at 17 years old, you're writing exams, your final exams, you get your diagnosis. How did your journey go along there? Because you've mentioned that you've had to have the operations done, you've had your treatments done. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, well, with treatments, I was so blessed. Really, God is so good, because I didn't need to have chemoradiation. Luckily, my cancer doesn't need that, but it's also not a cancer that it can necessarily kill in that particular instance. But the whole journey was just really vigorous, and it was just difficult, because you have to remember, I'm 17 and I'm in grade 11 and I have matric, and I still had an operation in my matriculant year. You know, I had matric dance, so what dress could I wear? And it's just very trivial things that seem to just kind of bother you. And just my daily thing as well, waking up and, you know, being forced to be vulnerable was my biggest issue, because I'm not somebody that sits around a lot. Like, I love being active and I love, you know, just enjoying life. And so for my mom to kind of help me with every single thing, from waking up in the morning to brushing my teeth for me, it just felt so hard. And then boys and people would make fun of me and just kind of target your femininity in a way that you never noticed before. There's so much that is highlighted in the experience that I was very shocked about. People bump you a lot more than you think they do. And it was just such a revelation for me, just because I had to also understand that, you know, I can't do everything by myself. People are mean and they are cruel and they're ignorant, and you can't judge them for that, you know. I was talking to my mom on the way here, and she was saying, you know, isn't it funny how everything happened? And when we went to the breast care center, and everything that I had to do, because she was with me every step of the way. Thank you, Mom. And thank you, Dad and Anna. Hi.
Yeah, make sure you thank everyone.
I have to thank everyone. Hi, family. So when we were going to like every single place that we could possibly imagine, they would always look at my mom and they'd be like, oh, you know, poor mom, poor mom. And then they realized it's me who's, you know, getting the treatments and all sorts. And it was quite funny on that side, because I think people also forget that, like, this really can happen to anyone.
What would you have wanted people to know or to be able to say or to be for you at that time?
What I actually didn't like, which is what a lot of people actually think for a lot of people it gave them comfort. Me, what I didn't like was people telling me that it would be okay. Only because I felt that was a term that made it, in my eyes, seem like you're trivializing the situation, and that you're dismissing it. And I wanted my emotions to be addressed. I wanted them to be acknowledged, and to also have people understand that this is real, you know. Although I'm not maybe going through certain things or aspects, or I'm keeping a brave face or whatever, that doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. And this is something that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of my life. You know, I've got scars, and I have this journey that's forever implanted into my my system, but it's not something that's gonna cripple me. It is something that I've used to strengthen myself, and it has helped me spiritually. Like, I cannot tell you how important faith is in this experience, only because God is the only one who can get you through this. And you can never really ask God why, you know. I think that's something that I really want to encourage women especially, and men, and anyone who's going through anything, to not ask why, only because God is God. And you do not understand why God does things, but God understands why He do things. And that's all that you need to do. Just have the faith and the comfort that, you know, you will get through it. Not just overcome, but really become so much better, you know, and really just kind of evolve into a human being that you never thought could be possible. So I think at the end of the day, my experience was something that I'm very grateful for. It has done nothing but amazing things for me. It's given me opportunities to really kind of speak to young women and really just target things that are very important to me, not just on a cancerous level, but just in the mindsets of how we are teaching our young daughters and sons how to actually be aware of their bodies and the things around them, because ignorance is very important for me to eradicate, you know, especially in our generation where we are very kind of superficial. So I think this is going to be a very interesting platform to do that.
But I listen to how you speak, and you have experience and wisdom beyond your years. And you really speak from such an emotional point of view, which is why I said earlier, when I listen to you, I get so much of hope as well. Because you don't speak like a 18, 19-year-old young lady. I mean, you speak like wealth of wisdom. And as Dr. Baba had said as well, with her experience, she's glad for it because it made her reflect on her life. And you at that age, at 17, having a double mastectomy.
Oh, just a mastectomy, thank goodness. Yeah.
But you've had that, and you've had that as a young woman. And you discussed briefly how it's affected your femininity. But at the same time, you speak about hope, and you speak about going forward and your journey forward. What message do you want to carry forward through the years? Because God has a plan for everything. And there's a reason why this was given to you at this point in your life. Where do you see yourself going forward on this journey?
I think going forward, I definitely see myself being as involved as I possibly can be. You know, I will not make false promises and say, I am going to be everywhere. And, you know, I really just want to make sure that I am really kind of getting the message across to understand your bodies. I think I also want to kind of get it across to men as well, that, you know, because I think with my experience, I'm very grateful for the men in my life, not just for my dad and my brother, but, you know, also some of the guy friends that I had. They were so supportive of me in ways that I was very shocked about. But then I still had a lot of ridicule from other men saying, you know, why are your boobs smaller? You know, I didn't even understand, I didn't even think that they actually looked at that. So I think moving forward, it's just really important that young people are really, really aware of their bodies, not just with cancer, but with everything, and to understand that, you know, your choices come with consequences. And also my message to young girls out there is to really allow yourself to feel every single thing of this journey that you'll be embarking on, because when people tell you that you can't feel what you want to feel, and they are trying to bring you down, and they are trying to tell you that, you know, they're kind of just trying to put negative thoughts into your mind. You have to understand that you are strong. You are going through this for a reason. This is not punishment. And I promise you, it's not fun at all, like half the times, but you have friends and family and a God who cares about you and is for you. And I just want to encourage you to just be there for other women. And you're going to have to, just to keep yourself strong, and to also just help you broaden your mind to understand that people will be ignorant and they will ask you things that is none of their business. And you have to understand that they just don't get it. They just don't get it, and it's not their fault. They have chosen that. Some people are just unaware, but you have to understand that you are stronger, you are worth it, and that you can overcome literally anything. So that is my message to young girls out there.
You are an absolute powerhouse of hope and inspiration. Every time I'm in your company, it's so, you just feel this light around Velisa. She is such a beautiful human being and a beautiful soul. And I have no doubt there's a beautiful journey ahead of you, because someone like you, you've got a long way to go. And look out for her name, because it's going to be a household name in no time. Everyone's going to know you.
Yes, thank you.
I really thank you so much for coming into the studio, for being with us, for your words, your powerful words of wisdom, of hope, of inspiration. I think, you know, when I listen to you, it's not just about cancer. It's for anybody that's going through any form of an illness. And I think for people like myself who haven't been through it, to be able to say, I can hear what someone is saying. I need to educate myself so that I can be there in a better way for somebody else. And I think very often we don't know what the right thing is to say, so we rather not say anything at all.
Of course.
And I think your support structure has been phenomenal, and we look forward to your journey, because I really think you need to use the platforms you've been given, because you can touch lives and touch so many people. All you women that have been on the show today are magnificent. Thank you so much for joining us on air.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We have had such phenomenal women in our studio today. Advocates for breast cancer, advocates for cancer awareness, ensuring that you go out there, not only get tested, make sure that you are educated, make sure that you are aware, not just for yourself, but for people around you, for people in your community, for being proudly South African, to be able to say, I can stand with people who are going through cancer. I can be a support network. I can do a little bit just to help them. We have had these phenomenal women, and I promise you, stay tuned, because their names are going to be names that you will always associate with the positivity and with hope and with inspiration surrounding cancer. Velisa is a young 19-year-old dynamic lady. When I met her at 17, I was blown away by her. She is hope, she is inspiration, she is motivation, she is faith. Stay tuned to her, get in touch with her. We will put up her contact details as well, because you want people like this to be able to tell you that tomorrow is a better day. And if tomorrow isn't better, the next day will be better, because one day that tomorrow will come and it will be better. Thank you so much for joining us on air today and for being with us. We will post up all the fundraising initiatives that are going on during this month, from Pink Hijab Day to cancer awarenesses to the Melamed fundraiser to the CWF Cancer Support Group as well, to whatever Velisa is also supporting, and I'm sure she will give us that information as well. But stay tuned. Have a wonderful month. Make it a fulfilling, awareness, educated month. We'll look forward to seeing you again next time, same place. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام حياة قد جاء في